G'day, g'day. Hope you guys are all having a good one. So for today's tutorial, I'm going to be going over how to do trees and shrubs in GeoGen. So I'm going to upload this file in the description below. It'll probably be like a not Gmail, Google Drive file, something in there, just so I can send it through. Just so you guys have the preset. I might go over a tutorial, like a terrain similar to this, but for now, I just need a bit of time to record that and, get everything all sorted. So, it's a really basic thing at the moment. I've gone over it previously. It's just getting some nice mountains and then eroding and doing some extra fancy stuff to it. I'm currently working in 2K. You can work in 1K, but I will preface this. Trees and shrubs and so forth will all look a whole lot better the higher resolution you give it, okay? So, it's fine to get the basis. I think 2K is the minimum I would go for. So yeah, for those of you who have, I guess, computers that are, borderline struggling to run the program already, you might want to make more simple scenes. This one, I currently have 2 filters, so I've spoken in a previous tutorial about the filter nodes and them having a bit of a performance hit, so it might take a little bit to run through this for those of you who have less VRAM and, slower GPUs, but otherwise should all be completely usable and should work fine regardless. So first off, what I'm going to do is at the moment I just have some basic setups here of just some nice mountain stuff. I've kind of determined where the snow is and yada that. So first things first, I want to make some trees over here and, all over the place, really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to, I guess, clip things so it's not going to be, you're not going to be having trees inside water, but also have some nice placements and, random generation there. So first things first, I'm going to remove the water because, performance, is probably the biggest thing that we need, for this sort of stuff. So water we can turn back on later, but for now we'll turn it off. Now, I guess starting off the node setup, we're going to be adding a where is it? A splatter node. Here we go. Now make sure splatters always need the base height map plugged in, and also when you drag it out, it also automatically sets it into input height map. I wish it went into base height map instead, but that's just currently the setup for now. And anyway, so we're going to start off with cones, which is exactly what we want. So here, if we click the height map here, or we can drag and sleep, but for performance case I'm not messing around with these filters, we're just going to be running off this. This can be the same for whatever terrain you guys are working with as well. So don't worry too much about, worrying if it's not going to work for you guys, because it'll work the same for you. Anyway, so we're going to go into here, and first things first, we don't want these to be so wide and large and so forth. So what we're going to do in this shape remap, we're just going to grab the bottom one here, the bottom corner, and bring this inwards. And this is just going to make it a little bit sharper. Here we go. That's a nice start. I think you can see the rough premise of how we're going to be achieving our result. Next, what we want to do is, this is all, dependent on your own terrain. So what I'm showing you here is perfect for my terrain, but not necessarily the case for your own terrain. So don't follow this exactly to how I'm doing it, expecting it to look perfect for your terrain, as yours might need maybe wider, taller trees, you know what I mean? Something like that. But if you're using this demo file that I'm going to share out, you'll get a pretty similar result to mine if you do follow that. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to look and move the scale maybe a little bit down because they're quite high. So we're going to bring that down a bit. What else do we want to do? Bring the height down a little bit. I think I'll get the scale down a bit more. Maybe I might bring the height in. I might just make this a little bit thinner here. There we go. Next, what I'm going to be doing is increasing the grid size here. So just get it relatively to what you're liking. I believe when you move up the grid size, it's going to change the shape and size of these anyway. So I might have to go back onto that. But here we go. When we increase the grid, yeah, it'll change the size of them. So I might, what the grid does here is it increases the amount of trees that we're going to have. So I might bring that up a decent amount. we'll bring up the scale here, which will spawn a lot more of them. Maybe the height of them as well. Don't want them too big, but something like that looks really good. I don't want it to be too foresty looking, but I'm pretty happy with how it looks right now. Sweet. So next off from here, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to drag that into here. And next off, I'm going to, when I turn on the water, for example, if I do that, once I let it all load, you'll see we've got the issue of it's everywhere, including on the mountains, and it's in the water and stuff, which is not entirely too realistic. So once I turn the water back off again, we're going to figure out how to, I guess, remove it from these areas. Sweet. So next off, to make sure that we can cut out and get it into like a place, I particularly want this spot here, maybe a bit over here, just the spots where you'd, I guess, see a lot of the trees. Over here it's a bit too snowy for the trees anyway. As you can see, there's a massive clump of snow there, but over here is probably the main spot. And what I'm going to be doing for this is I'm just going to go and I'm going to mask out here. So just drag from the mask, add a mask source, add a mask propagation. And I love these mask propagations. They generally do like the top of things. So let's just view this mask here after plugging in the height map. And here it's pretty much given me mostly what I'm after. A bit on the tops of these. We can change this. We can change the required neighbors as well. So it, I guess, just changes how clumped it's going to be is the best way. You can play around with this, chances of growth, stuff like that, to get your desired result. But for me, this mostly works fine. Albeit, obviously, we run into the issue of they're still under the water. So this is a really simple fix. Not too sure what this height mask is doing, but let's go grab a forbidden mask. So we're just going to drag out forbidden. We're just going to go height. Now, this forbidden is effectively what you want to cut out of your mask. So from here, we're just going to input the height map, and it looks like this. And from here, what I'm going to be doing is just dragging this down a bit. From here, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be dragging it upwards to remove some of where the water would be. Now, I'm going to double check that this is right, because I'm not too sure where the water is, but if we go over here and we look, that seems about right. Over here is about where the water ends, and let's see. I might move it upwards a bit just because I don't think it'll be too close to where the water would be, so drag it a smidge upwards. There we go. And from here, let's turn off the water again. As you can see here, it's fully cut it all out. And bam. What's the issue? It's still spawning. Easy fix. So this is something that I'm not too sure whether I like or dislike about these as they are, the splatter node as it comes originally. But all you got to do, see, visibility from mask is set to 100%. All we got to do is just drag this. It can be a little bit down, and it already gets rid of it all. This is a great thing because, if you want it exactly where the mask is, you can go here, set it to 0, and that's exactly where the mask is. This allows a little bit of, blending and stuff. So what I'm going to be doing is just setting it to about 93, and we can kind of see roughly how it's looking. There we go. That looks pretty good. Just going to turn back on the water. Bam. Awesome, we've got some trees. You can play around with it if you'd like. It's a bit of a, maybe you can add some more trees to it, change the scales and everything if that's what you desire. But anyway, let's go on to coloring. So from here, we're going to drag out from mask, and we're going to go colorize. And so here, this will allow us to color the trees, and here you can see they're all nice and orange at the moment, so we can change it all up. But in order to, I guess, get it so only the trees are being colored, what I'm going to be doing is adding a blend node, so it doesn't mess around with what I've already got. Not a blend node, a mix node, I should say. set that to the background, set the output into my next node. You'll probably want to do something similar yourself if you've got, I don't know, a similar setup. But what we're going to do is make sure you put the base color into where the base should be. And we're just going to input this into the foreground. And as you can see, we've got our nice colored trees. Awesome. So from here, I just need to find a picture of some trees. So I have some trees on the side, as you can see. You can find whatever. After a bit of testing, make sure that the reference you're getting isn't too dark, because if it's too dark, it kind of struggles to. Just due to how sharp these are, it sometimes doesn't show off all those colors too well, and it requires a little bit of playing. So I'm probably just going to use something like this green here. Anything green that has a bit of difference, you know, in it will give you a pretty good result, as you can therefore adjust the colors later. So I'll go over that. So from here, I'm just going to color select that. So just changing it from single to color gradient. Grab the eyedropper. I'm just going to do it on my second monitor. There we go. I dragged it along. If you want to use something very, very similar to mine, you can probably just eyedrop this. I'm not sure. I would assume it'd give a similar result. And at the moment, it's not looking, you know, too perfect, but it's something that we'll play with. So just playing around with this color mask can give you different results, but as you can see, it's not looking perfect. So let's go mess around with this. And what we're going to do is, out of the output, we're going to add a color adjust node. So from here, let's just drag this in. This allows us to play around with all these colors. So, you know, the hue, the value, the vibrance, and so forth. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to desaturate, maybe play around with this, and play around with the hue if you want it to be a little bit more like that. Play around with the values so you can make it nice and white, or however you're looking. Here we go. After playing a little bit around, I dragged a new one and I've gotten a bit better of a result here. A bit nicer. Still not perfect, of course, but it was a much better result than we had before. What I'm also going to do is go into the gradient mask and also input that as well, just so it plays around with the different colors there. Also, you can add I believe a terrain look. You can mess around with these here, so just the value, the chaos, stuff like that. What it's going to do is just going to change up the colors here. It'll make it a little bit different if you want to add some. It's a little bit of difference to it all. You can change the hue here, so it's going to change up the hue and everything, and that will just give you slightly different results for each of them. And you can change the chaos scale and everything. I'll turn it down a little bit just so it's not too light. Might go bring these around a little bit, play around with this a little bit. Make it a little bit darker, and there we go. We got some nice trees. Overall, I think this looks pretty awesome. Gives you a pretty nice result. Bumping up the resolution will give you much better results. So I'm just going to run through at 4K, and we'll just wait for this to load. Here we go, it's all done. They're a lot sharper now, so potentially what I could do is make these a little bit wider now that I've got it to load. And so it'll take a little bit to load again, but the whole terrain itself is mostly loaded already, so it shouldn't take too long. There we go. They're a little bit too wide and a bit too tall, but outside of that, you know, it looks pretty good. Here we go. With a little bit of playing around, it's not looking too bad. I might just change the value here. There you go. Just make it a little bit darker, but that's looking pretty good. Okay, so shrubs, I would say, are a pretty similar setup. All I'd really be doing is I'm just going to change it back down to 2K again, but all I'd recommend doing for shrubs is instead of using something like a cone, you can use something like a hemisphere. And it'll give you a pretty similar result as well. So just bumping this up a bit. You know, changing this scale to be a lot smaller. You'd probably want a lot bigger grid. We'll make these actually a whole lot smaller. get a bigger grid. Much bigger grid. Here we go. Now, I'm not too sure how this will look from the get-go, but waiting for it all to load. Here we go. So this is what it'll look like with some shrubs. Now, the issue here is it doesn't protrude enough, so the 2K resolution isn't going to be enough, but going once again to 4K should give you the result that you're after. Sorry about that. I ran into some issues of my, I guess, setup being a little bit not great for what I was trying to do in terms of shrubs, but I've just achieved it here. You know, playing around with these will give you different results, scale and so forth, height and whatnot. If, you know, so suits. If you'd rather big ones, then we've got some nice shrubs here, looking pretty good. The nice chaos on the whole setup is also doing a pretty good job here, so as you can see, it just breaks it up and makes it look a little bit different, but overall it's looking pretty good. All I did here was I had my filters of erosion and snow in front of the splatter, but then what was happening was when trying to texture it all, it was kind of overlapping and not working too well. So the fix for that, if you want to do something similar, is just making sure that your snow and stuff is after the before your splatter, just in that snow and stuff isn't playing around with where all the colors are going and all that mumbo jumbo. But that seemed to fix it for me. It probably wouldn't really matter too much if you try to do something for your own setup, but just for my setup, if anybody wants shrubs, then that would be the result that's required. Sometimes these need a little bit of playing around. Nothing ever generally works perfectly out of the bat, but yeah, it seemed that was just a slight issue with my setup and how I decided to make mine. But yeah, thank you guys all for watching. Hope this has been helpful, informative, and so forth. But yeah, now you guys know how to do, you know, trees, shrubs, and, you know, from here you can also do rocks. Like if I change the colors here to be, I mean, I'm not going to do anything fancy here, but changing it from an orange to, you know, a brown, then, you know, we've got some nice rocks. Or you could do, you know, nice, you know, bits of, like, I don't know, snow boulders, for example. You can play around with it all. It's all pretty simple and easy to use, and, you know, you get pretty nice results here. So, as you can see, I mean, this isn't great, but playing around with this, the scale and the height, definitely the height down. We got some little snow boulder things. I don't know, it doesn't look great, but it's like a 5-second setup. But yeah, you can sort of see, and maybe that gives you ideas for things that you want to do. But yeah, hope this is helpful, hope it's been cool, and yeah, thank you guys all for watching. Catch you later. Bye.